My love, what I feel for you is real. I am not saying that lightly. I am not saying it just because the moment feels emotional or because the words sound good together. I am saying it because I sat with this feeling. I examined it. I questioned it. I even tried to talk myself out of it, and it stayed. That is how I know it matters. When something is real, it does not fall apart under pressure. It becomes clearer. This did not hit me all at once. It unfolded slowly, almost in a thoughtful, step-by-step way. First, I noticed you. Then I began to understand you. Then, without forcing anything, I accepted what I was feeling. It was like recognizing a truth that had been there all along, just waiting for me to see it. My feelings for you did not rush in loudly. They built quietly and steady things are the ones that last. I did not create an idea of you in my head. I paid attention to who you actually are, the way you move through situations without trying to draw attention, the way you choose your words carefully, not to impress anyone, but because you genuinely care about saying the right thing, the way you pause before you respond, as if you understand that words carry weight. Those details stay with me. I notice patterns in people. What I saw in you was not perfection, it was consistency, and consistency like that is rare. What I feel for you did not grow in big, dramatic moments. It grew in the quiet ones, in the still spaces where nothing was being performed and no one was trying to be impressive. That is usually where the truth shows up. I tend to question myself early. I always have. So I asked what this really was. Was it comfort, admiration, familiarity, or something deeper? I tried to separate emotion from logic and look at both clearly. What surprised me was that the more honestly I examined it, the stronger it felt. It did not fall apart under scrutiny. It made more sense. That is when I understood this was not impulse, not fantasy, and not me projecting something onto you. It was recognition. Seeing something real and responding to it with honesty. Loving you did not cloud my mind. It cleared it. It did not create chaos. It reduced noise. I became more careful with my energy, more intentional with my time, less interested in shallow conversations, and less patient with distractions that led nowhere meaningful. You did not become a distraction in my life. You became a point of reference, something that quietly shaped how I made choices, how I set priorities, how I focused. That is not how infatuation works. Infatuation is loud and restless. It needs constant attention and feels uneasy in silence. What I feel for you is different. It is calm. It is steady. It does not rush. It trusts time. I do not love a version of you that exists only in my imagination. I love who you are when there is no pressure on you to perform, when you are thoughtful, when you are uncertain, when you are quiet, when your strength shows without you needing to prove it. I was never looking for perfection. I was looking for something real, and that is exactly what I found in you. That mattered to me more than anything polished or impressive ever could. What I feel is not built on what you give me or on fleeting moments of excitement. It comes from something steadier, from the sense of calm I feel simply knowing you exist the way you do. Silence with you does not feel awkward or empty. It feels grounded. It feels secure. Silence has a way of revealing discomfort when something is forced or false. But with you, silence feels like trust, and trust is where everything meaningful begins. I used to believe love had to feel intense all the time, like constant motion, like something always racing forward. But life teaches you otherwise. Real depth is not always loud. More often, it is quiet. It is safe. It is steady. It gives you clarity instead of pulling you into emotional chaos. I did not arrive at this feeling without thinking about the risks. Letting someone matter always comes with uncertainty. There is vulnerability in it. There is the chance of being misunderstood or turned away. I considered all of that carefully. And even knowing the risks, what I feel did not pull back. It remained, because it is not fragile. It does not depend on a perfect outcome. It exists for one simple reason. It is honest. I care about you in a way that honors your independence. I do not want to change you, control you, or rush you into anything. I want to understand you, walk alongside you, learn how your mind works, be there for you in the ways you actually want and need. What I feel does not come with pressure. It comes with patience. I am not asking for promises or instant answers. I am not demanding that you feel everything the same way right now. I am simply asking to be seen clearly, the way I have taken the time to see you. There were times I thought about staying quiet. It would have been easier, safer. Silence protects your pride, but it does not respect the truth. And I would rather live in alignment with what is real than hide behind comfort. Keeping this to myself would have meant choosing regret over vulnerability. I would rather face the uncertainty of being honest than the false safety of never speaking at all. So I chose to say something. I see you as someone worth choosing, not because of who you might become, but because of who you already are. When I think about the future, I do not picture dramatic scenes or big declarations. I picture something calmer, conversations that mean something, growing together in small, steady ways, effort from both sides, respect that stays even on ordinary days. I want a connection built on communication, not confusion, trust, not tests, consistency, not emotional extremes. When I tell you my feelings are real, I mean they are not based on conditions. They do not require perfection. They do not fade just because things slow down. They are thoughtful, steady, and rooted in respect. And that leads me to something I want to ask gently, without pressure or expectation. Will you accept me? Not as someone perfect or completely figured out, but as someone sincere, self-aware, and ready to care for you with honesty and responsibility. No matter what your answer is, please know this. These feelings were here before I asked this question. They are not dependent on the outcome. I am not speaking from fear or urgency. I am speaking from truth. And once truth is spoken, it does not vanish. It simply remains, steady and patient. Before you respond, I want you to understand where this is coming from. It comes from respect. Respect for your heart. Respect for your timing. Respect for the space that naturally exists between two people when something meaningful is beginning to take shape. I did not want to rush into your life or force a moment that was not ready. I wanted to show up honestly. That is how things that truly matter should begin. What I feel did not grow out of attempts to impress you. It grew in the quiet, unguarded moments, the simple, real ones. I paid attention to how you show up when there is nothing to gain and nothing to prove. That told me more than any big gesture ever could. You carry a presence that does not need to announce itself, a kind of depth that does not look for validation. And that kind of presence changes the atmosphere around it without even trying. That is rare, and it is something I value more than I can easily put into words. I did not build fantasies about you or create expectations based on who you might become. I paid attention to who you already are, and that was enough for me. Loving you did not make me restless or distracted. It made me more thoughtful. It did not pull me away from my life. It brought a sense of alignment to it. You did not become the center of my world. You became a source of clarity within it. What I feel does not depend on how you respond. That does not mean I care any less. It means my feelings are steady enough to stand on their own. If you choose to accept me, then this becomes something we share. If you do not, then what I feel remains what it has always been, honest and real. Either way, its value does not disappear. What I am offering is patience, not pressure, consistency, not mixed signals, care that does not fade just because things become quiet or ordinary. I am not perfect. I have flaws, and I am still learning. But I am not looking for someone to fix me or fill an emptiness. I am choosing from a place of wholeness, not need. I want to share life with you, not escape into it. I want to know you fully, the parts you show easily and the parts you keep guarded. I want to understand what gives you energy and what takes it away. I want to love you in a way that feels safe and steady, not overwhelming. I want honest communication when things feel heavy and simple presence when words are not enough. Disagreements without disrespect, growth without growing apart. I am willing to move at your pace, not because I am unsure of myself, but because I respect timing. The things that last are not rushed. They are built with intention. I do not need immediate answers. I care more about honesty than speed. If you are uncertain, I can hold space for that. If you need time, I respect that too. Acceptance only has meaning when it is genuine. What I feel is not trying to persuade you. It simply exists, offered without pressure. That is how I believe love should be. If you choose to accept me, I will bring effort, not excuses. Accountability, not avoidance. Presence, not performance. And if you choose not to, I will still respect you. Because love that truly respects someone understands its own worth, even when it risks being turned away. So take your time, feel what you feel. There is no pressure here, no correct answer except the one that is true for you. Whatever you decide, know that this came from honesty, from alignment, from something real. And now, I will step back and give you space. What I feel for you did not come from urgency. It came from clarity. Urgency often carries fear, fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of silence. This feels different. This feels like standing on solid ground and recognizing something real in front of me. I did not rush into these feelings, and I am not rushing away from them either. That matters to me. I value stability, not the kind that avoids change, but the kind that remains steady even when things are uncertain. I want you to understand that accepting me would not mean stepping into something fragile or uncertain. It would mean stepping into something intentional. I do not build connections on impulse. I do not invest without understanding what I am investing in. And I do not commit emotionally unless I am ready to take responsibility for the impact of that commitment. That is how I approach everything that truly matters to me, whether it is people, ideas, or responsibility. I think carefully before I act, and once I choose, I stay present. If you are wondering whether this would eventually turn into pressure, expectations, or emotional weight, it would not. I do not measure connection by constant interaction or emotional intensity. I measure it by reliability, by whether someone shows up consistently even when it is inconvenient, especially when it is inconvenient. I do not disappear when things feel uncomfortable. I do not hide in silence to avoid responsibility. If something matters to me, I stay engaged with it honestly, even when that means admitting I do not have every answer yet. I remain willing to show up and work through it with care and respect. I also want you to know that I respect your inner process. I am not trying to guide your answer or influence how you feel. Whatever you feel is valid because it is yours. Acceptance does not mean much if it comes from pressure or persuasion. It only matters when it comes from clarity. I would rather wait in honesty than move forward on uncertainty. Time does not threaten what is real. It reveals what is not. There is something else I want you to understand, and it is quiet but important. I am not offering intensity, I am offering steadiness. Intensity can burn brightly and fade just as fast. Steadiness lasts. It creates room for growth, for mistakes, for learning each other without the fear that one misstep will cause everything to fall apart. I do not want a connection that survives only on emotional highs. I want one that remains strong, even on ordinary, quiet days. If you choose to accept me, you will not have to perform or prove yourself. You will not have to maintain an image or meet expectations that do not feel true to who you are. I am interested in reality, not projection. I want to understand how you think, not just how you present yourself. I want honesty, not perfection, and I will offer you the same in return. You will always know where I stand, even when the truth is not the easiest thing to say. I also want to be clear about something important. Loving you did not make me lose who I am. It helped me become more fully myself. That difference matters to me. I am not looking for a connection where identity fades or where two people disappear into each other. I want one where individuality is valued and supported. Two people choosing each other with awareness, not holding on out of fear or dependency. Independence and connection do not compete. When they are balanced well, they make each other stronger. If we move forward, there will be moments that are not easy. That is simply part of being human. Misunderstandings will happen. Stress will show up. Life does not pause just because emotions feel heavy. What matters to me is how we respond in those moments. Do we talk things through or pull away? Do we make assumptions or ask questions? Do we protect our pride or protect the connection? I know the kind of partner I want to be. I choose communication. I choose repair. I choose to stay present, even when it feels uncomfortable. I do not believe love is proven through dramatic declarations. I believe it shows in patterns, in what someone does again and again, not in what they promise once. It shows in choosing to show up even when there is nothing to gain except staying true to your word. If you choose to accept me, that is what you will receive. Not perfection, not performance, just steady effort, honesty, and respect. And if you choose not to accept me, that does not erase what I have said or felt. It simply means the timing, the alignment, or the direction is not right. That is not failure. It is clarity. I do not see honesty as a loss. I see it as understanding. It tells you where you truly stand. It shows you what is real. I would rather live with that clarity than with comfortable assumptions. I am not here hoping you will fill an empty space in my life. I am here because I recognize something in you that felt worth acknowledging and respecting enough to speak about openly. Whatever happens next, I will not regret saying this. I will not look back, wishing I had been braver or more honest. I was both. So take the time you need. There is no deadline on sincerity and no expiration date on truth. Listen to yourself the way I have listened to myself. Set aside the noise and pay attention to what feels steady, not what feels pressured. Whatever you decide, know that this comes from a place of respect, clarity, and genuine care. My love, what I feel for you is real. Not because it insists on a future, but because it is willing to stand honestly in the present. And sometimes that is the most sincere form love can take. People often misunderstand vulnerability. They imagine it as something dramatic or overwhelming, something filled with pleading or persuasion. That has never been my view. To me, vulnerability is about accuracy. It is saying what is true without exaggerating and without hiding behind defenses. It is being open about intention without trying to control the outcome. That is what I am doing here. I did not open my heart to get something from you. I opened it because it was already open, and pretending otherwise would have felt dishonest. I do not expect you to feel everything the same way I do. Feelings are not synchronized on command. They grow at different speeds, shaped by different experiences and different circumstances. I understand that, and I respect it. I do not see your quietness or hesitation as a lack of feeling. I see it as reflection, and reflection matters. It shows care. I would rather be understood slowly than accepted quickly without real clarity. What I am offering is not an escape or a distraction. It is not emotional intensity meant to override reason. It is companionship built on awareness. Awareness of myself. Awareness of you. Awareness of what it truly takes for a connection to last over time. I do not see love as something you simply fall into and hope will work. I see it as something you build with attention, accountability, and respect for each other's inner worlds. If you are wondering whether this kind of love leaves room for passion, it does. But it is a passion that can last, not one that consumes everything around it. A passion that grows deeper over time instead of just louder. The kind that does not fade when novelty wears off because it was never built on novelty in the first place. I also understand that accepting someone is not just about liking them. It is about deciding whether the way they move through life fits with the way you do, whether their pace feels right beside yours, whether their values meet yours in the places that truly matter. I have thought about that carefully. I would not be standing here if I had not. Emotional alignment is not something I take lightly. It matters too much to approach carelessly. I do not want this moment to feel like it has to define everything that follows. It does not. It simply brings clarity to what already exists. Whatever you decide, the truth has already served its purpose. It has removed uncertainty and replaced assumption with honesty. That alone shifts things no matter the outcome. If you accept me, you will not be accepting certainty. You will be accepting sincerity. Certainty is often an illusion anyway. Life rarely offers guarantees. What it offers are choices. And I am choosing to stand here openly rather than hide behind distance or emotional detachment. That is not weakness. It takes discipline to speak without demanding, to care without trying to control. I won't ask you again, not because I don't care, but because repeating the question risks turning truth into pressure. I've said what I needed to say, fully, clearly, without manipulation. That is enough. What happens next is yours to decide, and I trust you to handle it honestly. Whatever your answer is, I will accept it without resentment. I won't rewrite this moment to protect my ego. I won't pretend I didn't care if the outcome isn't what I hoped for. I will honor the truth of it and move forward whole. That is the gift of being honest from the start. There is nothing to defend later. This is where I remain, not waiting, not pushing, just present, clear, grounded, and open. I spoke because it was true, not because it was safe, and that choice already feels right. My love, my feelings for you are real. Real things do not chase, they do not try to convince, they do not rush, they simply stand steady, patient, and willing to be seen for what they are. There comes a point in every honest moment like this when language reaches its limit, not because there is nothing left to say, but because what is inside no longer needs explanation. Still, I want you to understand one more thing: how I see this, how I see you, and how I approach anything that truly matters to me. I do not see connection as something that should take over your life. I do not believe love should unsettle you or pull you away from who you are. If anything, it should help you feel more aligned with yourself, not less. If you choose to accept me, I will not expect you to give up your priorities, your pace, or your sense of identity. I respect ambition. I respect solitude. I respect the parts of you that exist completely on their own. I am not here to replace anything in your life. I am here to complement it, if that is something you want too. I also understand that everyone carries a past. Experiences shape how trust forms and how quickly it grows. I do not expect instant openness or immediate certainty. Trust is not something you take from someone just by asking for it. It is built through consistency over time. I am prepared for that. I do not need shortcuts or promises about the future. I just need honesty that shows up in real actions. If you feel afraid of making the wrong choice, that tells me you are taking this seriously. Indifference does not hesitate, thoughtfulness does. And I respect thoughtfulness. I would rather be chosen slowly with clarity than quickly with doubt. The things that last are rarely rushed. I do not need to promise that everything would always feel easy. It would not. No real connection is free of challenge. What I can promise is that I will not turn difficulty into distance. I will not use silence to avoid responsibility or disappear when things feel uncomfortable. When something matters to me, I stay engaged, even when the conversations are hard or the answers are not clear yet. I also want you to know that if you choose to accept me, you will not be stepping into someone who expects you to carry emotional weight that is not yours. I take care of my own inner world. I am responsible for my reactions, my healing, and my growth. What I offer is partnership, not burden, presence, not dependence. And if you decide not to accept me, I will not see this as a mistake. I will not minimize what was felt or said. I will not harden myself just to protect my pride. I will carry this moment as proof that I chose honesty over avoidance, that matters to me more than the result. I am not standing here hoping to be saved by your answer. I am standing here steady in my choice to be truthful. That is why there is calm instead of anxiety. That is why there is no pressure in these words. I said what was real when it mattered, and I said it with clarity. Whatever you decide, let it come from your center, not from expectation, not from fear of disappointing someone, and not from urgency, just from truth. That is all I have offered, and it is all I hope for in return. My love, what I feel for you is real. It does not ask you to rush, perform, or become anything other than who you already are. It simply exists, steady and sincere, offering presence instead of persuasion, patience instead of pressure, and clarity instead of confusion. There comes a point where honesty no longer tries to explain itself and instead trusts that it has been understood. That is where I am now. I do not feel the need to add urgency or decoration to what I feel. Real certainty does not pile on words to seem stronger. It becomes simpler, quieter. That is not withdrawal. It is confidence. This moment does not feel fragile to me. It does not feel like something that could break with one wrong move. It feels solid because it was not built on fantasy. It was built on observation, reflection, and restraint. I did not let this feeling run ahead of me. I moved with it slowly and let time reveal its shape. What it showed me again and again was steadiness. I do not measure love by how much space it takes up in a single moment. I measure it by how well it keeps its shape over time. Does it remain steady when things are quiet? Does it stay grounded when there is uncertainty? Can it exist without constant reassurance? What I feel for you has done exactly that. That is not by chance. That is structure. If you choose to accept me, you will not find someone who needs to be repeatedly reminded that they matter. You will find someone who already feels secure in themselves and still chooses you, not from insecurity, but from intention. There is a difference. One asks to be carried, the other walks beside you. I also want to say something plainly. I am not afraid of your answer. I care about it, but I am not afraid of it. Fear distorts things. It adds pressure and weakens clarity. I do not want anything built on that. Whatever you say, I will hear it as truth, not as a judgment of my worth. When you know who you are before you ask a question, you do not hand your balance over to the response. I did not come here to persuade you that I am right for you. That is not a decision anyone else can make on your behalf. I came here so you could see me clearly without confusion or assumption. If that reality fits with yours, then we move forward. If it does not, we do not force it. Both outcomes are honest. I also respect that acceptance is not only emotional, it is practical. It is about whether two ways of living can exist together without small points of friction turning into slow damage. I have thought about that. I do not romanticize difficulty, but I do not avoid it either. I believe in addressing things early, calmly, and directly. I do not let misunderstandings settle in or allow resentment to build. If something matters, I bring it into the open so it can be handled with care and responsibility. I understand that some people are uncomfortable with calm because they associate love with intensity. They confuse noise with depth. I see it differently now. Calm does not mean the absence of feeling. It means feeling without chaos. It means stability that still allows growth. It means something steady that does not collapse the moment things get difficult. That is the kind of connection I am open to. If you are wondering what would actually change if you accepted me, it is not everything. It is something specific. It would mean choosing to explore a connection where honesty is not postponed, where effort is not given only when it feels convenient, where silence is not used as a weapon, and where presence does not fade once novelty passes. Nothing exaggerated, no promises that ignore reality, just two people showing up with intention. And if you are wondering what changes if you do not accept me, that answer is just as clear. Nothing essential breaks. I remain whole. You remain respected. This moment remains honest. It does not turn into regret or embarrassment. It becomes part of a life lived truthfully, and that matters more to me than protecting comfort at the expense of honesty. So I am not lingering in anticipation. I am standing in clarity. I have said what needed to be said without pushing beyond what is real. I have offered what I am truly capable of giving, not a performance or an idealized version of myself, just who I am, with intention. My love, what I feel for you is real. It is not loud. It is not fragile. It is not urgent. It is thoughtful, grounded, and patient, and it does not need an immediate answer to remain what it is. Take your time, feel what's true for you, and act from your own clarity. Listen to your heart, and let honesty guide your next step.